Here is, a more drastic rotation where they're coming out of a lot of the stuff that they've loved for a long time. Okay, high growth tech, and they've been pouring money into cyclical, reopening, and commodity names, right? We've been talking about this rotation for a while, so there's no reason to discuss it again. But I just wanted to get everybody caught up to, the current environment, and it is still the same, okay? So what we were kind of looking at going into this week, all right? And it's probably a good way to start. This is kind of what we were seeing going into the week. Let me refresh this. We'll get to that stuff in a bit here, okay? This is what we were seeing coming into the week. We had a squeeze right across the board. We had a lot of these reopening plays. If you look at a Trip, if you look at General Motors, Caterpillar, Deere, a lot of these names, they look like software names. They look like EV plays from a couple months ago. That's how crazy the move has been, right? In energy. So you could see here, this is as of yesterday. So this wasn't coming into the week, but as of yesterday. And this is sector sentiment, okay? And you can see here industrials, right? They've had a really nice run, new highs. You got a poor risk reward there. Financials have been at that point for a couple weeks now, okay? Energy the same. So a lot of those reopening plays were overcooked. Okay, the rotation has come too far too quick, to say the least. So the opportunity coming into this week was kind of a little continuation of what we started to see, was money, even if it doesn't come out of these particular sectors, financials, energy, industrials, those sectors to at least digest, slow down, right? The upside momentum would slow down, and money start to pour into the semis, tech, right? And why would we say that? Because the sell side of the rotation has been so drastic that while these particular sectors, right, as far as sentiment and risk reward, are poor for any long opportunities, these are still at favorable spots. Okay, healthcare, biotech. So that's where the opportunity was coming into this week. All right. Now the wild card, the big wild card is right smack in the middle of the week. You have the Fed. All right. And the big reason why we've seen this divergence, right, where these sectors aren't moving together and money's coming out of one side of the market and going into the other, is because of the rise in interest rates. All right. And this Fed meeting, to say the least, is likely to have a big impact on that. Okay. So it throws a monkey wrench into our plan in a sense, again, because we're running out of real estate, right? It's a binary event. Depending on how this market reacts to the Fed, one way or another could get dicey. All right. But we'll talk about what we're looking at as far as odds probability coming out of the Fed, okay, and what may happen. Because I think a lot of this rising rate environment, a lot of it's being factored in right now. And I think the risk would be that, again, not necessarily these reopening plays experience a huge sell-off, but maybe they underperform and tech really starts to lead again for a little period of time, catching up. Okay, kind of what we've been seeing. The last couple of days. All right, today was a little bit more of the selling in these hot groups. Like, for example, Let's see. I didn't even see where they ended up, but yeah. So see, like XLE, right? So you had a little tug, a little more tug here today, right? But even if it doesn't come in a notable way, you know, they're going to find a tougher time on the upside. And that's why, I don't know if you guys looked at, that post-market note I post at times after the close or at night. I mentioned to, be careful, especially in these reopening plays chasing green, because what we're going to see is a lot of fades. You're going to see a lot of green to red reversals there, right? They still may buy dips, okay? But, that tacking on to further upside, what they've been doing a great job of, they're a little tired now. They're a little tired until, they digest and breathe after this rally. All right. So I don't necessarily think this has to pull in hard. Okay. It can. But I think the risk is to the upside in tech because of the major rotation. Okay. So that was my feeling coming into this week, right? That's how I was kind of going to play around the Fed on Wednesday, on an intraday basis primarily. But there's something I've noticed that is taking out some of the air out of my balloon right now in that view. Okay. And I'll show you why. And we already spoke about this, but I was waiting on this update again at a BOVA, and it's kind of, rubbing me the wrong way a little bit here. All right. So here's the BOVA equity client positioning, right? So this is Bank of America, Merrill Lynch clients. And, this is how they've been positioning for the week. All right. If you haven't read this, read this because it's pretty interesting. Both last week and this week, they have been buying the recent dip, the recent pullback. They've been buying. Okay. And you can see down here, they've been buying almost a little bit of everything. But one of the things they're buying, and they've bought in a pretty decent manner, is tech, shockingly. And I wasn't expecting that. Like this would have been ultimate confirmation to the view I just shared with you guys of the risk to the upside being tech if we saw that they were selling tech and going into these reopening plays. Okay, because that's generally what a lot of players are doing out there. All right, but this BOVA was the total opposite of what I was expecting. And now I'm kind of second guessing that view on positioning there. Not totally, because I still think a lot of money has been coming out of tech. Obviously, that's the obvious. But there's some dip buying in tech, which concerns me a little bit, right? And here's why. Let's see. Does it say it here? Okay, right here. See this? That paragraph right there. Hold on. As we noted last week, extreme inflows are typically a signal of weak near-term 1 month returns. Okay, so over the short term, when you see the bulk of clients aggressively doing the same thing, again, this game is all numbers, right? Probability and odds. Usually, it's a signal of some weak near-term returns. All right. So again, it may be the overall market and not necessarily tech, but this is kind of what took a little of the sizzle away from that rotation back into tech. Okay. Now we're seeing that now, right? We could see it again tomorrow where tech is up and the Dow is down. And then all of a sudden, this is not as drastic anymore, right? What we were looking at here. This is not as drastic anymore because you had a couple more days of upside. Okay. So it may set up that way. But it just shows you how tricky things are out there right now. You know what I mean? And unless you see something, or that's how I approach it, unless I see something crystal clear with the flow confirming it, I'm just I'm not gonna do anything too drastic. I'm not gonna force it and do anything too drastic. All right. Um, I mentioned to you guys on Sunday on the members only Zoom meeting that we have every Sunday night that right now I'm leaning towards my interest is in finding growth names that are seeing accumulation, sweeper accumulation. And I'm interested in these names again with time. That's the key there, right? With time. So I'm expecting to be early and I want to start to build positions in these things slowly with some time. The reason why I want to do that is a lot of these things have been nicked up pretty good. A lot of people have been shaken out of them. And, everybody's under the assumption that rates are going higher. It's a given. And high growth names will never perform well ever again. And I've heard that one before. I've heard that many times, and if it was that easy, everybody would just position that way and get rich if it was that easy. So, this market has a tendency to do the opposite of how everybody, what everybody's looking at. So I want to at least start looking at some of these high growth names. One of my concerns there is the flow hasn't been anything spectacular. They haven't really started to buy any of the underbelly tech or high growth names that I'm interested in. Little sweeps playing for a bounce. That's mostly the flow we've been seeing. Some semiconductors names, names like Netflix, they've seen legit flow. So I'm just, I'm taking baby steps because I'm waiting for some of the setups and names I like and, some of the flow that I like. So that's different because I had no interest in these names for a long, long time. And at least finally, they've reached a level where I could start looking at these things again. All right. So that's kind of my view post-Fed. Once we get through the Fed here, I'm hoping there's further weakness in these names. And honestly, I hope they sit around and do nothing for a period of time. Right. So I have a chance to own these things at some point. These quick snapback squeezes, I'm not going to get my hands on much. And they're just going to be, trades. And that's basically what I've been focusing on, for a while now, are just quick trades. So I'm going to be looking on the positioning and if they sit around and catch some on buying as well. All right. So that's what's a little bit different on my outlook into this week. Here's some of the sentiment stuff we look at. Let's look at this first, okay? And then we'll go into the usual here. So, this was kind of some of the extreme we were seeing off the sell-off in the NASDAQ. All right, this is QQQ liquidity premium. We spoke about this, again, members. I don't know if I put it on this webinar, but what happens is this is like kind of a flight to quality, flight to liquidity indicator. When players are getting nervous about individual names, NASDAQ names, they sell those and they move to a more liquid instrument like the QQQ. Okay. And when you see these major spikes, that's usually a sign of nerves, right? They've had enough with the individual names. They can't be in cash, so they gotta own QQQ for liquidity. So we saw a big spike there, right? Off a little bit of a pullback. That was one sign that, we at least should stabilize for a bit, find a low, some tradable rallies for a bit. And did I post the other one here? Oh, I think that's it. And the sentiment here, right? So this is the other thing I was going to mention. So we have the sentiment 2 was washed out in a lot of NASDAQ stuff. All right. Here is that BOVA stuff. And again, you guys could pull this up on your own if you want to take a look. So look at this here. Sector size, client type. I think this here. Okay. Let me blow it up so you can see it. All right. So you got 7 of 11 sectors saw inflows last week led by tech. So here's what I was just referring to. Okay. That right there. You see that? That's what I was just talking about. Here's all the money that came into the market buying the dip. Here is the money that came into tech the last 2 weeks. These are BOVA clients now. Okay. Here is this too. Look at this. Net buying last week was driven by hedge funds. Who the hell wants to see that? All right. So you had a bulk of buying coming in. This is buybacks led by tech, right? And here are hedge funds. Who's selling? Institutions. We don't really want to see that either, right? Flows were concentrating in large caps. That's usually the case. Tech, consumer discretionary, both saw inflows near record levels. You know, you get a lot of decent information out of this. You don't want to hang your hat totally on this stuff, you know, because BOVA clients, especially their private clients, you know, they're not the dumbest players in the world. They're sharp players. So it's not like you can fade everything they do and make a living off it. You know, but when there's crowds, you know, you need to take notice, right? When they're crowded. So these are hedge funds, bought 5 of 11 sectors, led by consumer discretionary. Concentrating on institutional clients sold 8 of 11 sectors. Yeah, probably you're right now. SPACs, but there's still people hanging in there. They're not totally shaken out of SPACs yet. Yeah, they got a lot more chopping around to do before you're going to shake out any of those guys. The last thing you want is a quick bounce there. What's this? Hedge funds bought 5 of 11 sectors. Oh, I posted it twice. And look at this, buybacks. You know, but maybe they're counting buybacks as the reason why tech, there was big buying there. Doesn't make sense to me. Doesn't make, you know what I mean? Maybe because the buybacks? I don't know. I don't think it's a big deal anyway because we got the Fed, right? My opinion, if you want to play a lotto off the Fed, right, on the long side, I think you do lotto Qs. That's my opinion. Okay? That's my opinion. Even with this BOVA, yeah, TQQQ, but you want to, you know, I would do calls because I wouldn't, well, you could do whatever. I mean, what's going to happen? You know, you stop yourself out, goes the wrong way. But here's the thing, Joe. If the Fed does anything at all to temper the enthusiasm behind this rising rate thing, anything at all, I think you're going to get a slingshot snapback rally in tech. You know what I mean? And I think that's why it's worth considering playing a lotto, okay? Does it have to go that way? Of course not. All right? What they can do is they could just say the same things they've been saying and the market get really, really pissed off because they're not being paid attention to, right? The bond vigilantes could get really angry and try to teach the Fed a lesson, right? And step on the gas. And then they'll get the Fed to pay attention. All right? So that wouldn't be good for the Qs short term. Okay. I think ultimately that's a good setup, though, if that happened, because that would be a really nice washout in the tech sector again in NASDAQ. I think ultimately the Fed is going to do what the market wants. That's the market always leads the Fed. It's only a matter of when. So if there is another round of selling to come into NASDAQ and tech, that's where I think the opportunity really is, But as far as a lotto, I think it's rolling the dice on the Qs out of this meeting. So like Tepper, you see what Tepper has been saying, what Tepper's been talking about, right? Rising rates, yes. Okay. But we've come a long way, and chances are they're going to hang around here for a bit. They're going to hang around here for a bit. No, what I think, John, ultimately, I mean, you get deja vu in this game. It's almost the same script over and over and over. I think eventually what's going to happen is the Fed is going to talk about something they're going to do to put a cap on rates, kind of like that YCC. But I don't think that's ultimately what they're going to talk about initially. I think they're going to hint around, we have the tools to do what we need to do. You know what I mean? By buying the long bonds on the short, whatever it may be. Okay. They're going to talk about the tools to take advantage, to do what they need to do to slow down the rise of rates. And ultimately, I think tech and growth and all that stuff gets right back on track and does their thing. So that there's going to be that pivot point, kind of like late 2018, if you guys remember, where they forced the Fed not only to stop raising rates, right, to stop tightening, but to talk about cutting rates. Think about how drastic that was. They got it. Didn't take long, right, Pete? It's the same thing. They're going to box the Fed into, and you don't think the Fed knows this? The Fed knows this. Okay, Powell's not new. He learned his lesson in 2018. He knows. But think about the good that this little period of rising rates has done. You had some froth in the markets, I'm sure they were concerned about, wiped out, right? You had SPACs coming out every day, people bum rushing into them, they're skyrocketing all over the yard, right? All of a sudden, things calmed down. You had EV plays, 10 a day, getting pumped up like they were a cure for cancer today, right? I don't even hear about EV plays anymore. Where'd they go? You understand? So there's a lot of good that has come from this little spurt in rates. Really chill things out. And we needed that. Okay? We needed that. Because we talk about that all the time. You can have these little pockets of bubbles. Those are fine. That's part of a market, a bull market. I've seen it throughout my whole career. It's when the little pockets of bubbles, they blow up and they continue to inflate, and then they take over the whole market. And that is the death of a bull market. These little poppings of little bubbles, right, here and there, that's all bullish. That's bullish stuff. So this is good. I think ultimately there's going to be, and this is what I'm salivating over, okay? I think there's going to be a really nice sweet spot in a lot of these growth names, okay? And it doesn't necessarily even have to be the growth names we know about. I think eventually these things are going to get back in play, and they're going to be new growth names that we weren't even aware of the last rally. That we can get involved in. Okay. The thing is, it's timing. It's the timing. It's the timing of that, especially with options. So that's why what I like to do initially is I like to, when I'm ready, like I said, I am now, is start to look for opportunities with a good amount of time behind them. You understand? I have no, as far as trading any of these things right now, day trades. I don't have an interest in trading them for short-term swings or anything like that. What I want to see is I want to see accumulation come into names that people don't want to buy because they're not moving. You understand? There's going to be a lot of frustration, dead money. They're on my do not trade list. You know, that stuff, it takes time to build up like that. You know, these things have been in favor for a while. So, and you could see, you know, a lot of people are starting now, right? All of a sudden to look at those rotation names because that's where all the momentum is. So it may take some more time, but I need to be early. Like we had that conversation. I need to be early and I have to start at least looking now, you know, but I haven't seen anything too enticing yet anyway. You know, the most enticing thing I've seen on that scale, you know, it's not even the type of name I'm looking at, but like, you know, the flow that Netflix caught into the lows, you know, that's what I want to see. You know, that's what I want to see in a name that's got its rear end kicked. Okay. The type of action that this thing caught yesterday, PG, you know, that's the type of action I want to see. Now, not to jump around, funny thing is, you know, this wouldn't necessarily be a bullish sign either. These are defensive names. If they start catching the quality, you know, maybe the overall market needs a pause. And you get names like PG, Campbell Soup, and those things outperform for a little bit. Exactly, Sean. You know, so we got to really keep Kraft Heinz, good call. That's another one. You know, we really got to keep our eyes on the flow. We don't want to force the issue. We want to let sweepers signal to us when they might be ready, you know? Yeah, Kraft Heinz looks really good, because you got that squeeze factor too in there. You know, there's a pretty decent short position in this thing. And it's caught a lot of flow, you know, a lot of flow. Yesterday, for those of you who are members, Procter & Gamble saw some nice Jan call accumulation and May put selling, you know? So, you know, and this thing too, you remember this was red hot here and, you know, just has gone dead. So this is kind of what I'm hoping for out of some of these growth issues. You know, a lot of them got already wrecked, even worse, in a straight line. But you see this? This is what I want. That type of setup in growth names. You know, in growth names. Some of the other things, like I would love that in some of the semis. They're not going to get there. You know, this is as good as it's probably going to look in the semis. Right? You got a little breather, and boom, he's buying. These things are just too much in demand. Yeah, and this ON, you know, it's not new. You know, this thing has been getting lit up for a while. Tony said it best. We were complaining how slow this thing was. You know, how slow it was when they started buying it. Yeah, you know, it's come a long way now. A long way. You know, a long way. So I would love the semis to set up like that, but I don't think, you know, I don't think they do. Maybe they go through some consolidation here. You know, maybe they go through some consolidation. But, you know, the underbelly, we keep talking about like the same names. Like, you see this? You know, that's the type of destruction I like. You know, that's the type of destruction I like. Okay, but you know, I want to see quality. Like this when it first came IPO'd, okay, and the options just started trading was catching bullets. Okay, if they really want you down here, you can't miss the flow. It's not like, oh, was that buying decent? They're gonna hit it hard. You know, Snow, the name you guys love. You remember some of the bets in Snow when this thing was hot? They're going to tattoo this thing when they want it. we're barely seeing flow in these things. You know, we're seeing little weekly bounce sweeps. That's what we're seeing. You know, so it may take time. You guys don't remember Zoom, okay? Do you remember Zoom when it IPO'd? Okay, Zoom did this, and then was a disaster. A disaster. Look at this. Does this look like snow? Yeah, boom, right onto the floor, right? And look at this. Okay. Look at all this after it went to lows. So if you try to bottom pick it, look what you had to sit through. Who the hell's sitting through that? You think Riff Raff is going to sit through that in weeklies? They'll lose their mind. You know, so they give up. They give up on it. It's on my do not trade list, Zoom. You'll start hearing, right? That's what we heard. And then what happened was, if you remember, if I'm not mistaken, this is where the buying came in. Right here. Annihilated. Right? Or was it here? One or the other. Might have been here. I can't remember. Right? Yeah. Exactly. No, this was, wait, before the COVID? Oh, it was. You're right. I don't remember it like that. That was right before COVID. That's right. Holy cow. I don't even remember it like that, you know? Right before COVID. Literally before, right? Yep. So anyway, you know, and then, yeah, this thing, obviously, we were complaining we sold it too early because it was, you know, it was a frustrating trade prior. But you catch my drift. This is what, you know, you want to see this, you know, death. You want to see death. You know, and if it's a real name and, you know, it's as sexy as the story was sounding the whole time, sweepers will find it. You know, that's the beauty of the sweeper activity, though. It shortens up the time horizon. AMWL, right? Destroyed. AMWL. Look at it. Whoop. Nobody wants it anymore. Gone. You know, all these IPO names, the growth names, all of them, the majority of them. How about GDRX? That too? Yep. AI, that's another one, right? So, you know, there's a lot of names. There's a lot of names out there. We just need the flow. You know, I don't want to force it though. Unless I see the flow, I'm not buying them. I'm telling you that right now. You know, unless I see legitimate buying, I'm not buying them. But I got a feeling there's going to be buying. It's just a matter of when. You know, these are new leaders potentially. You know, they're new leaders. Right now, rates are, you know, have been moving higher. The playbook is not to buy these things when rates are screaming higher. You know, eventually, you know, see how we're talking about that playbook? You're going to have the riffraff talking about that playbook. And then you take the playbook and you flush it down the toilet bowl. You know what I mean? You take the playbook and you flush it down the toilet bowl because it's useless once they catch on. And, you know, it's getting there. It's getting there. It's getting there. So, but yeah, so that's what I'm looking for on the swing end, you know, on the swing end. In the meantime, we were talking about these reopening names and the momentum there. You could still buy dips. You know, you just got to be careful because they've run, you know, they've run a long way. And this is what this tells us here. You know, this is the use out of these sentiment indicators for the sectors. You can't use them as exact buy sell signals. You could, but you're not getting the full appreciation from it. You got to look at it on a risk reward scale. That's how you look at it, right? And it's just a reminder. Okay, when this gets up here, okay, it doesn't mean that banks can't go higher for the next couple of days. All right. It's just the risk reward from that point is poor. And the upside gets tougher. And look, like it doesn't even feel like it, right? Like this is what, let's take XLF, right? So this kind of right here is where the sentiment signals went off. So you're higher from that point, but you see what I mean? How it's like a little bit more of a struggle. So that's the difference. You're buying it, let's say here. If you're not taking this profit, it almost feels like you're back to where you started. And with options, you lose money. Yeah, it's more frustration because look, the majority of the move happened without you at that point, happened without you. So it's a great reminder, this chart, it's a great reminder. And look, you see, just look in the past, right? Hot, cooled off to at least neutral, back to hot, cooled off to almost a buy signal. You just got to be patient. Sometimes they take longer when they overshoot. They deserve to overshoot. The financials have been out of favor for ages. So they deserve to overshoot a little bit. This is Sentiment Trader. Even semis, how many times, right? They never look like they're gonna look like they're gonna dip again. They dip. They come in. And then, the upside's worth it for you there, at least. The upside's worth it. All right, so that's where we stand going in. Tomorrow's a big day, Tomorrow's going to be a big day just because there's a lot of eyeballs on it. It's got a lot of eyeballs on it tomorrow. Here's some of the top bets from today. The only one I probably add on to this, they have earnings. HTHT. I'm scratching my head all morning today, okay? And I'm saying to myself, why didn't I at least for members make a bigger deal out of this HT buying yesterday? You had a little breather here, some nice accumulation. I'm like, what the hell did I screw up here? And then I realized they have earnings. That's why they have earnings. But some really nice June accumulation in this thing. It's a Chinese hotel in China, but you have earnings March 18th. So flow is useless unless you're trading a run up. Tells us nothing about earnings. So that's the only other name. Match. They play this dip every time. Every time. MTCH. Nothing new. This is just a good-looking name. You get reopening and like kind of that hot tech growth business. This this MTCH. I'm not even kidding you. 324 earnings. What did I say? 318? I think it's 324. You're right, Ken. Every single dip, they were selling puts, if you guys remember, in bulk. They haven't really sold puts of late. Instead, they've just been sweeping calls. All right, but it's had a nice run. So you look to trade it off weakness. That's how I would approach it. This name, it was up today. What they play? They play short dated today, right? Oh, this was the one I like. April 170s. Oh no, it was March. Here it is, the bigger one, right? Anyway, you get weakness. You can look for a bounce there. Here's some of the ON, the damage there. Some good looking action again. Really nice action, ON. Western Digital, talk about missing something. This was almost too obvious, this Western Digital. You had Micron raging, and then they're tattooing this Western Dig. You almost knew it was going to follow. Now you're up on the moon here. And you know what? You scroll back, and you can see why. probably still has upside. Still has upside. I have trouble with, playing these things here because it's a choppier ride, You got to give leeway for a drawdown. You have to. This could pull back and still look great, look better. That's the problem. And the flow, it's tough to rely on flow when it catches bombs every day. Every day they bomb WDC. So that's kind of the predicament there. Twitter, decent Jan sweep. Twitter looks okay. Scorched over here, as you can see. Digesting that here. May need a little more time to digest. Twitter lift, I didn't see any lift today. TSM, this traded ex-div. So some of the flow there I wouldn't really trust too much. But they bought this dip. There was a nice July sweep into weakness, if you guys remember, last week. This is another name. How much dip buying, you have no idea. No idea. They started buying this thing before this thing was a machine. All right, so that's, and here's Kraft Heinz, a little July tack on there, KHC. So this all came early today. The afternoon was abysmal. All right, what names are you guys talking here? Let's look at some of your names. AB&B looks good. Just be careful chasing green there, that's all. Looks good, You had a nice little lift here. So this is totally normal. But it's moving with the reopening names, so that's a good thing. Because it was getting lumped up into the high multiple stocks. But this thing didn't even get hot yet. If you can buy it with some time, they've been buying it with time, some of the good looking action. But just, try to buy pullbacks. Try not to chase. We all have a tendency. You see it up 4 or 5 days in a row, you like it better. And then you got to sit through things like this, You chase this and you back down there. You buy it on pullback, you could even get a trade out of it. So that's good. This AB&B is a good stock. What other names? Yeah, Starbucks had a ton of flow. That moved to new highs today. That's been strong. Micron, gone. Again, a lot of people think more upside. But, yeah, up here, tough. Have a good night. Have a good night. It's a strong buy. LSCC, my opinion, is a tuck away name. Try to buy it off a pullback and just forget about it. And, you might have the next big semi on your hands. NLS, that was a nice bet yesterday. The only thing was it was weeklies. So it had a nice move yesterday off the action. Was up a little bit today. Maybe there's some more run left. But yeah, this is not a bad spot either. If they would have hit like June, what they hit the first time, NLS? Anybody remember? It was a nice sweep there. June's, right? So that, at least you got an idea there. And that was right here too, right? Recently? Yeah. It's a much better spot than some of the other things here. So these are just, again, part of that reopening theme. And you talk about names that were out of favor. Nobody wanted to own these names ever. Look. Okay, so you're talking about a whole group that their earnings were continuously improving, but because of low rates, nobody wanted to touch these things. You could go back even further here. Look how long. And then finally, there's an October sweep. That's a good looking one right there. That's the one. That's the one. That's not a bad order right there for that stock at that spot. So that's the order there. So, then you get a rates starting to move higher, and this is what happens. You get everybody rushing into this thing now, the whole group. And somebody give me a multiple, a PE for shits and giggles on this DISCA or any of them. I guarantee you they're not crazy up here after this move. So you can imagine where they were. DISCA forward 22. So trading 22 times earnings. I mean, that's nuts. After this move, it looks like an EV stock. VIAS, same thing, 22. They've been ignored. Wow, huh? Pretty crazy. So, yeah, that's why people are still buying them up here. I mean, I wouldn't. But when they sell them, that's where you want to pay attention. PLTR, I think, same thing. I think it's got to do nothing. That's what you want to root for in PLTR. You don't want it to do a thing. You want it to bore the living crap out of everybody. Because everybody's trying to buy PLTR, Everybody's buying the dip in PLTR. Kathy, the whole gang. Yeah, all those names. Honestly, this is another one that there's so much interest, I can't really see it pulling back, unless they're forced to sell it, MGNI. But, it may sit around here and do nothing for a bit, This thing had a hell of a move. Look at this, this is nuts. I remember we were talking about this thing every day. Oh my God, it just keeps going. Oh my God, it doesn't stop. Oh my God. So, it's gotta hang out here for a little bit now. Yeah. And that's why I'm saying, Tree, the first thing we should do with the names we like, right, is on down days, especially with the sweeper activity, we pay attention to the sweeper activity on down days with time. You want to be early. Or the equity. Yep. Or the equity. You can even buy puts to protect the equity if you're building a position in the equity. Just in case it has more to go lower. But, it might need some time here to chill. And again, if it doesn't, I think sweepers are going to get aggressive. Even if it's not in this name, they're going to get aggressive in the other ones, and then you can front run and buy it. Dish has been nice. Dish goes into that ignored category. This thing, I don't know much about this, Sean, the name, the company, but it looks like it has more upside. Yeah, 5G play. This is another name that, nobody wanted to own this name. I don't know. Everybody I heard with Dish complains about it. I know, Joe. Futu. Yeah, that needs to chill. That needs to chill. Look, that's way too much, man. Way too much. So probably trade in a range here. If it's a legitimate company, if there's a legit story to it, at best it should trade in a big range here. Kind of you take the look Teladoc, right? See, even we spoke about this. Even when it got out, they yanked it back in. Zoom, look, Zoom's numbers are better than ever. You know what I mean? Their earnings, nothing different with their earnings. They're better than ever. It's just, this is what this was all about. You know, this is what this was all about. Hello? Yeah, I can't get the door though. You got to give me a little bit. Like 10 minutes or so. All right, bye-bye. What the? Yeah. All right, no problem. What I was going to say. So this is, this is kind of like the blueprint. You know what I mean? Do you want to get stuck in this? No. Jules is lighting up my cell phone. So what other names? That's, this is the problem. All these names, guys, I like them too. Vuzi, that's been hot still. Let's see. Yeah, Vuzi's been hanging in there a little better, right? Somebody mentioned YSG. That had a little bit of action. Oh, yeah. But today's sweep was peanuts. You know what I mean? Here's another one. Wish. This has caught a little more action than YSG. Nothing crazy yet, but if you like the name good enough down here to where you want to start looking, yeah, put selling, exactly. These things have more upside. LVS, the casinos. It's just probably going to get a little tougher now, but they have more upside. The names that, I'm trying to think of, there's been like some mid-tier names that, USFD, yeah, it's a food stock, right? That's been strong though. That's been a strong name. Yeah, Roblox just started trading options, so we'll see how that pans out. There was actually a put buyer today, but that doesn't really mean much. X had a dip. So if you like it, you got to be looking here. What are some of the BE that's out of favor, right? EV name. You want that to go dead. These EV stocks, you need death. I think it's a charging name, right? NIO, that's been doing what it needs to do. What are some of the mid-tier names that have been catching action? That's what we got to look for. No, Ride has earnings, Ride. What was, like you had this, Elf. Right now I think we're in a period when we're in the in-between to start looking at some of these, mid-tier companies that get lit up. What was it? There was a couple others that looked a little better. Home. Anybody else remember some buying? Tech they've been buying for a while. I'm talking about some initial activity stuff. No, Open caught flow pre-earnings. But that's going to be a tough trade too here. QD, you got earnings. But that's already had a nice move, no? Now, you want to roll the dice through earnings, that's up to you. But yeah, QD had nice action. SOS, those are Bitcoin plays. You're playing Bitcoin, right? That's what you're doing there. What's the other one? EBON. I'm trying to think of what were some of the names that Later Tree. What were some of the names? Angie, that wasn't one recently. Let me see. That looks good, Angie. That looks good. Yeah, Dropbox had action, had the rumors. That was a nice trade. Box seeing some action as well. That had a nice move too. But yeah, this is this is more of what I'm talking about. Jemima was more of short-term action for a bounce. It bounced. GoPro, that's a name they've been buying aggressively. Nice move in GoPro. Look at this. I'm drawing a blank now. There were a couple names that actually performed well. Performed well. MasterCard, they bombed that. So I think we're more stock pickers right now. Stock pickers instead of sectors. Yeah, that's run a lot. Yeah, we're always stock pickers, but what I'm saying is rather than reopening or growth, value or growth, rather than one side or the other, I think we want to be stock pickers off the top action out there, especially if you have a nice spot or if you really like the name, like Dropbox catches aggressive sweeper activity. Where does it fall into the rotation camp? Who the hell knows? Is it a reopening play? Is it a growth play? It doesn't matter. They're playing it for chatter, for news, So it's kind of a stock pick in a sense. Same thing with Box. A PG, yeah. It's a staple, so it's tough to get excited about. But PG was legit. PG was legit. CX caught a lot of action, but CX is not new. They've been playing CX. Look at it. It's had a nice run. So that's the only thing. I still think it goes higher, whoever, Panda, but you're not early on that. You're not early on that. I had a couple names I wanted to share with you guys. I'm drawing blanks. Do I have them on this screen? Hold on a second here. No, I don't have them on this, right? Let me see. I don't have them on this screen. You know what I mean? Like this one, court action, LUMN. You remember this one? LUMN, court action recently. It's a squeeze name. I guess they were playing a squeeze. Here, some of them are coming back to me now. CYH. You remember CYH? Yeah, the gap caught really nice. You know what I mean? You know what I'm getting at here? They're isolated names. Like it's not a play on anything major. They're playing something going on in the name. Whether it's spec action or good-looking action, it's a trade. Yeti was a good-looking bet with some time. Yeti was a good-looking bet with some time. I'm not crazy about the spot, but if you like the name, that bet was perfect. This has been strong. Now you're getting decent consolidation here. But the odds you're going to get a major move out of here, smooth, you don't have high odds of that. So it's kind of like a trade. I've been waiting for action in that ADT pig, because that's a Bill Miller play, right? I would love to see action in something like this. Real action. Laser, I think it's tough. They're trades. You're gonna have trades in them. You know what I mean? You can buy these sell-offs if you see flow, and I think you're gonna see bounces in them that you could trade. Sometimes larger than others. But if you're looking to like buy this for the big one, you're gonna get chopped up. You're going to get chopped up. There's conviction out there, Albert. It's just in the names that you want to see conviction in. That's the problem. You know, there's conviction out there in reopening names. I mean, is there conviction in deer? Look at this thing. You know what I mean? Cat. You know, there's URI. I love that name. But look where it is. But I love it. You know, reopening play. I love it. Tractor Supply, right? There's conviction in all these names. Disney, GM. It's just, you know, now this is not, you know, they've moved significantly, guys. You know what I'm saying? They've moved significantly. You know, even names like Uber and all, they Lyft, and they just bombed it again. Look at it. You know, that's the problem. You got to buy here now. Oh, you got to buy here after this. Some of you guys could do that because you're trading short-term options. I'm not going to swing this. Yeah, I'm not. I'll trade this, and the majority of the time I'm looking for a day trade. You know, but I'm not going to start legging into a position up here. I can't do it. You know, because like I said, normal, totally normal would be some digestion or a pullback like this at the least. That would be bullish. And, you know, you get caught in something like this that lasts for a while, you're done. You know, so what you want to do with names like this, if you're going to buy, you like the action in it, you buy it, you got to stop, and you're looking for a quick move, right? If you get stopped out, you avoid getting caught in lengthy consolidation. That's the trick with these names. Tesla sweep made top bets. Which one? Oh, yesterday. That is, what strike was that? Short dated? I don't remember. April 805s. April 1st, 805s. You can buy them on discount. If you want to roll the dice. You know? Yeah. See if it catches some more sweeps. They were opening sweeps too. I know exactly. I remember now what you're talking about yesterday. You know, but right now, Tesla looks totally fine to me. Like you had this bounce and it might hang around here a little. So you're hoping it has a move higher out of that. You don't have too much time. April 1st, you know, they're a little short. You know, they're a little short. Did it move yesterday, Joe, off of it? Or no? See, that's something I would day trade more than swing, unless you like the name, Joe, you know? Those are short term. April 1st, how many weeks is that? 2 weeks? Yeah. So that's short term, you know? But now you can buy them on discount, so it might be worth a shot. Ah, maybe they're playing for that? Maybe they're playing for something. But like Joe said, let's see if they hit him again, you know? Let's see if they hit him again. But I like the mid-tier names, and I'm hoping we see more stock picking. You know, not even mid-tier names, like you guys just brought up. You know, this is one. I just couldn't get myself excited enough to buy it. But, you know, if they keep hitting it again at those Jans here, I will. I had a really nice hit. For those of you who've been with me for a while, you remember Campbell's Soup? That was one of my favorite stocks a couple of years ago when they tattooed it. Some hedge fund guy was tattooing it. Oh, what's his face? You remember that, Ryan, right? So I kind of want to let the flow come to me. You know, I want to let the flow come to me. But like you, Ryan, I know you like those mid-tier names. That's what I would pay attention to. For those of you who like to play the mid-tier names, initial activity, any initial activity. Hershey, that was another good one. That's when those things got hot, that whole group. Yep. Campbell's Soup, the soup. You know, the problem with the initial activity for me has been the spots. Anybody like play this home? know, and that's my problem. You could get trades out of this too. This home is not even that bad looking considering, you know, had a rally, but nice breather here. No, this thing had a nice run here. Look. I mean, you're talking about what? 25 to 31. That's $6 on a $25 number. What's wrong with that? Nothing wrong with that. In what, 2 weeks? A week and a half? LMT, yeah. You know, some of these might catch flow. They're at decent spots. They're dead for a while. What was the action there? Honeywell caught some action too, right? I don't play these things too much. Oh, this one looks a little more bullish. MMM caught a little bit of action today, but it was cheaper stuff. But this is probably going higher too, MMM. You know, but for me, like these things got to get tattooed for me to buy them. You know, like it's got to see Campbell Soup or Netflix type action. Anybody play Netflix? Anybody trade Netflix? No? Oh, it was too expensive? The options? Oh, the ones they hit, right? Yeah, I mean, those things, again, I don't know. I don't trade the options in these things too much. Was the Netflix, you couldn't make money off those sweeps? You had to, no? I mean, it was into the teeth of the selling. You're telling me those Netflix calls weren't higher off those buys? It had to. Come on. Yeah. I remember it had a pop and then it pulled back because it was here, right? That was into weakness down there. Or where was it? Here, this day. Yeah, you guys know what I'm talking about. The action here. It caught it into weakness and then turned green. Right over here. I think it was that day. It was down and then they turned green. So I guess, I mean, with today's pullback, not as big as a move, but you know, they had time too. September's, and there was another line too, right? There were 2 lines. Yeah, Facebook caught some bets too. Not as good looking as Netflix, but Facebook caught more of the momentum type action. So I guess that's better for trading purposes. Facebook and Apple. What about Apple? Could you have made money if Apple wasn't good for a trade, then it might not even be worth trading these things right now. Apple wasn't good for a trade off yesterday's buying. And it may head higher, but I'm talking about a trade. The day trade, yeah. But today's pop didn't benefit Apple. Yeah, well, they're weeklies, SG. They're March weeklies. If you're not going to be nimble in weeklies, you shouldn't be playing them, you know? You can't play them. If you can't be nimble in weeklies, you cannot play them. I'm being honest with you guys. Oh, they doubled. See, you guys are giving me false information here. They're telling me the Apple calls doubled. More than doubled, Lewis is saying. If that's not enough, if 100% on weeklies in a day is not enough, I don't know what to tell you guys. I don't know, you know? You guys are spoiled. That's what those SPACs and all that shit did for you guys. It spoiled you. It ruined you. You know what I mean? That's not what's going on right now. You're not going to get those moves. Don't even think about it. Peanuts. Nice, Ryan. Nice. 8-bagger minimum. You're right. You're right. They're spoiled. What are you gonna do? They're spoiled. Oh yeah, let me talk about that. Hold on. Let me I gotta go unlock my door. Whoever wants to stick around, stick around. I'll talk about those gamma levels too. All right. Hang on, give me 1 sec. I got the. Anybody else got Depeche Mode stuck in their head from CNBC? Manipulation all day long with these commercials? Hold on a second. All right. Just me, Sean? All right. Let me pull up here. Let me show you. Again, if you're not a member, you probably have no idea what I'm showing or talking about, but what are we going to do? Let me see. What chart do I have it on that I could show you? Hold on. Bitcoin? No, I don't know how to play Bitcoin. I don't have a virtual pocketbook, you know? The main problem with Bitcoin, there are no sweepers in Bitcoin. So that means I got to play on my own, and that could be a debacle. You know, this is not it. Hold on a second. Let me X this out. What chart did I put? I got more charts than, is it on this one? Christ almighty. Let me see. No. Oh, it's this one. There we go. There we go. All right. So these work better when you got gamma at higher levels like we have now. Okay. And what you have seen me posting the last week or so, a lower line, a mid-tier line, and an upper line. So basically, the simple way to look at it is that under this green line price should be supported by players hedging. You understand? So anytime you get to or below, in this vicinity, like yesterday was perfect. I don't know if you guys, these levels change every day. So you can't look at this level for the past week, as you guys have noticed. Every day, every day these levels change. So these were today's levels, okay, coming into today. All right, so basically this line here, see, like here was the opportunity today. You understand? This was yesterday, the line was low, but let's say this was part of today, this would have been the opportunity, right? This middle line acts like a magnet. So that's what generally you're looking for, right? So if you're playing something off here that you like a setup, right, you're playing because price, they should take price towards here again for hedging reasons when gamma's high. Yeah, these are almost like gamma bands. You know, like Bollinger bands, but almost like gamma bands or gamma channel. They come from, yeah, exactly. All right. And this up here, works in the opposite fashion. So if price gets up there, um, you want to refrain from entries. Again, I'm not going to encourage anybody to short anything, but you know what I mean, right? That purple line should work as a magnet in high gamma situations. Because remember, when we have that high elevated gamma, right, we see that stickiness all the time, right? We talk about that sticky price action. And what happens in that sticky price action? You get a gap up a lot of times, okay? You get a gap up, and what happens, the gap up ends up here, and they fade it, right? Or you'll get a wash, and they buy it up, right? Ultimately, later, wow, we got a million Ryans on here, unless Zoom is playing tricks on me again. So ultimately you get that sticky, choppy price action. But now we know the areas where these market makers need to hedge. You know what I mean? So it was popular in the 80s. So it's that simple. It's that simple. Now, the problem is in low gamma environments, they're not going to work as efficient. That's the problem. So I'll still post them, but you're probably going to notice that they don't work as efficient. Low gamma they got a longer leash, so they can move around. You understand? More movement, looser moves. Here, it's almost like if price gets to here, they have to sell SPX. You understand? If price gets to here, they have to buy SPX. And that's why you get this type of price action. So what we're in now, and we'll probably see, we got the Fed, but let's say we didn't have the Fed, even more so. This is a big expiration week. So you would probably see more of what we've been seeing here, this choppy, sticky type price action, and an increase in gamma all the way up until expiration Friday. And then the likelihood is a chunk of gamma rolls off and it opens up the door for some movement. Right, exactly. No, what high gamma does is, so this is what happens when gamma is elevated, they sell rips and buy dips when gamma's high. So every time price goes up, they sell. Every time price goes down, they buy in high gamma. That's why you get that sticky. Right, exactly. More hedging, exactly. You understand? So again, that's why these levels work well in those high gamma situations, because we have, the range of where they're hedging. You understand? What? Oh, the dollar amount? Yeah, you see it on the charts I post. I don't even look at the dollar amount. I just look at the levels. But yeah, I think it's, it's been lower, but the last year or so, it's been a higher number. But you'll see it on the chart levels. There, you can see where it's been high points during expiration. Yeah, the red and green line. Squeeze Metrics has that. It has a different look to it. It doesn't have the extreme lines, but you could see based on, prior days and weeks. But that's it. It's that simple. So they're kind of like, bands, we're hedging bands almost. 20 billion? Was it that high? January, yeah. I think I remember that. There was one crazy one. So we'll see. As supposedly this week, even with the Fed, the only way this market gets in trouble if it cracks 3,700 to the downside. That's the only, there hasn't been that elevated put selling that you normally see in markets at like these type of levels. Usually what happens when a market goes up for a long period of time, you get cocky traders that sell SPX puts. And when they do that to an extreme, when they get caught, it really opens up a window for downside, right? Put sellers caught. There hasn't been that extreme put selling activity. We haven't seen that. So that's why, like, the gamma people out there, there's hardly any crash risk in their opinion because there's nobody offside. You know what I mean? So that's their look. That's their outlook. Like if there was extreme put selling, SPX put selling, you get a headline or the Fed or something like that, and they get caught off sides, you got some big time, a big unwind, right? So that's the rationale. Later, Sean. Yeah, VIX is at the VIX positioning is at a spot where we need to pay attention, but it's not at an extreme that we've seen before. It could get worse, And what I mean by that is we're talking about shorting VIX. Players are short VIX, but they're not as extreme as we've seen in the past. So it could get worse. But with the positioning the way it is now, you have a tendency to see these 1-2 day quick VIX pops. And then it gets totally wound out. You know what I mean? Like we're here, like this. Whoop, 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 whoop. So when they get caught really short, that's when you get the big one. So we're not there yet, but if the market continues higher and VIX continues lower, you're going to get there. It's only a matter of time. Degenerates are going to be degenerates no matter what. You understand? When they short VIX every pop prior, they think they could do it every single time. They don't concern themselves with the one time that it may eat them alive. They think they got easy money. Just like SPACs. Every SPAC goes up. You don't lose money in SPACs. So they buy SPACs. They buy CCIV after a quadruple. And the one time they go down, they get eaten up. So that never goes away, guys. Never goes away. Sometimes it takes a longer period of time for that to happen again because they're gun shy, but it never goes away fully. Never goes away. So, again, we don't want to cloud our minds too much with anything right now. We'll see, again, more so the reaction off the Fed than what the Fed actually does. We'll see what they say. And then, we might have a cleaner picture to, a trend over the next couple of weeks or so. But there's some nice stuff developing out there. All the extreme bullish shit that we were concerned about has really cooled off dramatically. Like people are bringing up GameStop. It's one stock. And even that, it's not easy money, Look. Right? It's not like everyone's piling in and the thing just goes straight up. So, and you can tell me all you want that this is that crowd, Reddit or whatever, it's gonna, there's no way in hell they're controlling this thing. No way in hell. You know, the big shots have found a way to manipulate this thing. Yeah, they come in, they sweep out of the money calls, they get people excited, and then they sell it to them. That's what they've been doing. You think the riffraff is controlling these things? Come on now, please stop it. You know? Yeah, they're chasing, they're getting their ass handed to them. They're stuck in SPAC names. They're stuck in Kathy names. You know, even this whole stimulus thing, like they're going to come with a bucket of money and drive stocks higher. Give me a break. That's all a story because all the big shots are front running that. That's the rally we saw last week. Right? All the big money coming in, gassing people up that a bunch of stimulus money is going to come in and drive stocks to the moon. So everybody could come in and buy what they're selling them. It's nonsense. Yeah, GoPro's interesting. You know, I'm kind of pissed off how quick it ran away here. But it's definitely interesting. You know, you got out of favor for a long time, shorts. You know, even bulls don't want to believe GoPro. You think it's still a piece of garbage. But supposedly they're turning around their business. You know, kind of like when GameStop just started to see action. You know, people forget before GameStop got to, you know, the whole Reddit crowd, this thing was a nice stock, catching real nice action. Oh, I want to see, I'm looking for flow. I haven't seen any flow in it. Oh, it had a down day today. I didn't even see it. You know, I want to see if they sweep it. I'll definitely take a shot for a squeeze. Supposedly heavily shorted, you know, so if some sweeper activity comes in, it might like the match. I heard this is a piece of garbage retail name too, which is better, you know. Acadia, I don't know. I don't know much about it. Caught a couple bets recently. I remember when this thing caught flow back in the day, had a nice move. Do they have anything coming? Biotech news? November, right? November. Yep. I remember it. Because I remember I played it, and because it was a biotech, I was kind of shitting my pants. I had equity, and I didn't want to get caught. You know what I mean? So that's kind of the issue. But I don't know if they have any FDA stuff. Yeah, play the calls. Don't just be careful with the equity. That's all. Another biotech, I think they have data coming, is BCRX. That's catching a ton of action. Where's Joey? Joey, you were interested in this. Did you ever play it? Is BCRX? Supposedly they have data coming. I don't know when or where. Ruby. I haven't seen any flow in Ruby. Wow. Oh, biotech, huh? Woo. It's nice to catch one of those. Nice to catch one of those, boy. Yeah, no, I haven't seen any action in it. I haven't seen any action in it. The weed names you guys like have been catching action. You know, this SNDL, bunch of spec action every day. Every day. The quality action in the weed stocks, as I've been telling you guys, AFA. That's the best looking flow in all the weed names, if you're looking for that. DNN, what they're doing, they're pushing out, they're rolling out some calls there. But there's a lot of action there too, DNN. SNDL, oh, it has earnings? Maybe that's why it's active this week like this. Oh, I didn't even see that. Yeah. So maybe that's why it's so active again. Maybe that's why. Because I was saying, why is this thing so active again? Crazy options activity in this. Crazy. But again, the quality action or initial activity is the best of the best. We just, we're not getting too many initial activity names at decent spots because of the rally. But a couple new ones, PG. The other one's hatched already. MasterCard, it's already a little higher than where they hit it. The Home, the Elf, this caught nice action. Elf. So I'm looking for more names like this in the meantime while all the other sexy stuff die down and play dead. That's what I'm hoping for. Vips. Holy cow. This thing doesn't get tired? Jesus, Christopher. Unreal. Unreal. I mean, if you're in it off prior action, you probably got a nice profit, obviously. But up here, I don't know what to tell you. I don't know what to tell you. APPH. Let's see. Yeah. Is this SPAC though? Theodore, is this a SPAC? Oh, former SPAC? Yeah? Yeah, this is a nice hickey here. You would like to let it base out here and play dead. This one doesn't come in. MP, look at this. MP. No selling. Not much selling. Oh, speaking of shipping, STNG probably still has upside. The other one's moving even nicer. NMM. Look at this. NMM. That's another shipper. Oh, Seabulk. Somebody was telling me about that the other day. That looks good too. They all look good. They all look good. The STNG looks like it's got some catching up to do. You know what I mean? Yes, if you like gold miners, I'm not a big gold miner fan. No, I don't really swing trade them too much. But NEM caught a nice bet yesterday. A couple of the gold miners. Maybe they'll come back. Well, they come back to life the last couple of days. But definitely, if you like gold miners, NEM caught a nice bet yesterday. Me personally, I don't know. I've never been a stock picker in gold miners. If I was going to play them, I would play the ETF. But I don't fool with gold miners too much. QEP is an interesting energy play, but may need to digest a little, Scott. Doesn't have to, but this is one of those underbelly energy names that it's just been destroyed. Look at this. Destroyed. Another one that they've been buying for a while, AM. But they're sloppy, these things. Look at them. They're sloppy. Got to close your eyes, hold your nose, buy a little and tuck it away. All right? FCX looks like you're getting a little dip here, right? Well, a little breather anyway. Could use a breather. What a move. Later, Albert. Yeah, I'm going to wrap it up too. Just going through some last names here, trying to see what you guys are looking at. TAP, yeah, we saw some put action there today. But, honestly, I wouldn't pay too much attention to the put action because especially this week, it's an expiration week. If a name's catching bull flow that you like, I wouldn't worry about it catching a put buyer. You're going to see more of that up here at these levels anyway, especially with rotation and everything else. Players are going to hedge. How do I know Magnan is called on TV? No, it's not an indicator. I get levels from my boy to plug in. It's not a set indicator, those gamma levels. Yeah, no. My bad. I should have said that. Um, I think it has more upside. It's a matter of, does it breathe and hang out a little bit first? That's the problem. It's tough. It's a tough call. Because look like here, right? I don't think it'll go into a lengthy breather like that again here. But, it had this run and you're saying the same thing over here. And, this is annoying, right? Unless you're going to, later, Bill, unless you're going to buy with enough time, this is annoying. So, you're worried about, even on a smaller scale, just a little breather here. Yeah, it's a tough name, Boeing. It's a tough name. You're better off buying it when it's dead. I mean, I tell you guys a lot. It's still going to frustrate you, but you're better off buying it when it's dead, no heartbeat. You're not going to nail the lows, but if you're early, you still get a nice turn, But the thing is the timing with you guys. You guys want to catch, you're looking to catch something with a short period of time, like Joey's saying. There's other stocks that you're going to do with, This is tough. This is tough. And Jemima, I think it needs to chill out a little bit. I think it needs to hang out. I think it's in that crowd. It's had this huge, enormous rip, got everybody excited. And, it probably just needs to sit here and chop around, for some time. Yeah, I think it needs to chill out. Again, it's like what TDOC, that's not the cleanest example, but it's the one that comes to mind here. You get this big, enormous rally, and you got to go through something like this at the least, It doesn't have to be that long. You almost want it to crash instead of do this. Because when it crashes, at least maybe you can find a floor somewhere. Here you get this like wide range, right? You get excited thinking it's going to break out, and here you're thinking it's going to crash. There's a lot of in between that you could try to trade, but you're not with Aunt Jemima. You're not trying to do that. If you're trying to trade Aunt Jemima, look for sweeper activity off weakness, and you get quick trades out of it. But if you're buying Aunt Jemima, you're probably looking for new highs, right? Yeah, I think these things, they got overcooked. They need to cool off. I know it's the Amazon of Antarctica and all, but even the Amazon of Antarctica needs to digest rallies. That's how the game works. Right? Am I right or what? All right, boys and girls. You guys know I can talk stocks here till the sun comes up tomorrow morning. All right, tomorrow, big Fed day. Try not to do too much ahead of time. Maybe throw some lottos on the cues if you're jonesing, But we'll see what the flow looks like post-Fed. And maybe we got some action to play. Yep. Have a good night, everybody. As always, thanks for stopping by.